but in '88, or '87 into '88, you found yourself on the biggest stage in wrestling, and as you said, Vince McMahon is starting to merchandise everything.
Yeah.
And a big part of him trying to establish the WWF as a brand is this monumental primetime special that comes seemingly out of nowhere. It's the main event on NBC. And man, it's what was your first thought whenever you heard, holy smokes, we're about to do this huge primetime special on NBC?
I was like blown away. I mean, they told me that uh, that was the first time ever that professional wrestling was on live national network television, coast to coast. The first time ever that pro wrestling, was in the limelight as, it's like, this is a special show on it. I think it was NBC, and it was coast to coast, and that Saturday night main event was the lead in to WrestleMania 4. I mean, a good part of it, I mean, that it was just surreal. I mean, it's like, I go from territorial wrestling to being at the right place at just the right time when the WWF, as it was known then, was going to be on national network television for the very first time, and I'm part of the biggest angle.
Incredible.
And the angle that would lead into WrestleMania 4. And that was so funny because I wore the belt. I took the belt on the road for about I don't know, a week or so. And then they said, of course, Jack Tunney, supposed to be the guy. And, he says, he strips me of the belt. He says, you didn't win the belt. You're not the champion. And I said, and they couldn't give it back to Andre because technically Andre won
and forfeited it,
but he'd been paid off by me not to take the belt, and they couldn't give it back to Hogan because technically he lost it. So what do? We have a tournament to crown a new champion, which was the tournament was WrestleMania 4.
I did want to get Meltzer's 2 cents in on this. It's the January 15th, 1988 edition of The Observer. It's almost scary what the TV ratings for this show will be. Judging from the past week's TV tapings, the TV hype will be mainly directed at the special, and they've got the type of a main event which will interest the general public more than any other. Without a doubt, this will be the most watched wrestling show in the history of the United States. Ted, we're talking about a live in prime time. And we know, of course, that Meltzer would have it correct. This show would draw a 15.2 Nielsen rating and 33 million viewers. I mean, the significance of this cannot be overstated. Am I right?
No. Oh, no. And I don't think at the time I even realized. I mean, I knew it was big. I knew it was big, but I didn't realize it was going to be that big. And as I look back and realize, you talk about stumbling into the right place at the perfect time. I did it.
I mean, all of a sudden, you're on the biggest stage in professional wrestling. You're the top heel in the industry. You haven't even been there a year, and you're the top heel in the industry. Yeah. And now it's like, man, you are set to be in a featured role on this massive stage. When you first hear about it, you said you couldn't really quite grasp the significance of it. I mean, do you feel pressure at this point? I mean, at this time, you're kind of a seasoned vet, right?
Well, I was a seasoned vet in the business. I mean, I've been around. But I had never been on a stage this big.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, territorial wrestling. I had wrestled some big shows, but nothing to that magnitude. Had I been on, and man, it's again, it was surreal. It was surreal then, and looking back, I'm just very grateful, grateful that I was the right guy at the right time, at the right place.